my friends, this is Mrs. Costello. We're going to do day 4. We're going to solve some square root equations. So we're kind of doing the opposite of what we did on day 1. Instead of square rooting stuff, we are going to square stuff. So our first goal in step 1 is we isolate the radical. Okay? That means we are getting the radical by itself. So if you need to draw a little picture to say, hey, let's get the radical by itself, let's do that. Step 2, we need to square or cube both sides of the equation. And that makes sense because we are doing the opposite of square rooting something, which is squaring, or we might have a cube root, so you never know. Step 3, we solve the remaining equation. And step 4, we need to check our answers by plugging in to the original to find what we call extraneous solutions. And we're going to talk about what that means in a little bit, okay, when we do some check-in. So let's go ahead and take a look at number 1. And we're going to go through this checklist. So number 1 on my checklist says to isolate the radical. So I'm going to highlight the radical. Here's my radical. I'm going to get everything away from it just like I would if I was like solving for x. So if you need to put your little line, let's do that. I'm going to move that -3 first. So opposite of -3 is +3. +3 on both sides. So right now I have 2 radical x plus 5 equals 7 plus 3 is 10. Now, I still don't have the radical by itself, right? Here's my radical. I have that 2 in the front. So if I'm going to get rid of the 2, I need to divide by 2. Divide by 2 on both sides. Okay, so square root x plus 5 equals 10 divided by 2 is 5. Well, now I finally have that radical by itself. So now I'm on step 2. And step 2 says square or cube both sides. So let's go ahead and square this side and square this side. When I square, remember that gets rid of my radical. So that goes away. And I have x plus 5 equals 5 squared. 5 times 5 is 25. From here it's no big deal. We just got to do -5 on both sides to get x by itself. So x equals 20. Now, we did say in our extra step, we should probably check our answers by plugging them in to see if we have any extraneous solutions. If something's extraneous, it makes like my equation not true. So we got to make sure we got the right answer and it makes everything true. So wherever there's an x, I'm going to plug in 20. So this is my check. 2 radical. Look, I got an x, so let's put a 20 in with our rainbow pen. Plus 5 minus 3 equals 7. Okay. Now, when we're checking, we got to do some order of operations. So let's check our radical first. So 2 radical, 20 plus 5 is 25. Minus 3 equals 7. And remember, we are trying to check if this equals 7. We're not trying to move things around. Square root of 25 is 5. So 2 times 5 minus 3 equals 7. Well, 2 times 5 is 10. Minus 3 equals 7. Is this true? Yes, it is. So I'm good. X equals 20 is going to be my answer. Now, we don't have to do this. We're not going to do this every single time, but I am going to tell you when it might be helpful to do this. Same thing on number 2. Let's go ahead and get the radical by itself. So, look, I got a radical here. It's by itself. And hey, look at that. This radical is by itself too. So since I have 2 radicals by themselves, like I don't even have to do anything for step 1. I can just go ahead, square both sides to get rid of those radicals. Okay, so I'm left with what's inside. So 7x minus 2 equals 4x plus 6. From here, it's no problem. We're just solving it like a regular equation. I'm going to move my smaller x, so I'm going to minus 4x on each side. 7x minus 4x is 3x. I still have minus 2 equals 6. Now I just have a two-step equation. That's no big deal. So I'm going to add 2 on both sides. 3x equals 6 plus 2 is 8. Now I just need to divide by 3 on both sides. And I have x equals 8 over 3. That's going to be my answer on number 2. So hopefully not too bad. Let's go ahead and go to the next page. All right, I'm going to do A with you, and then you're going to do a couple on your own. So on A, my goal is to get the radical by itself, this guy by itself. So let's go ahead and get rid of that -2. So to get rid of the -2, I'm going to go ahead and divide by -2, divide by -2. Then I have square root 2x minus 1 equals 6 divided by -2 is -3. All right, do I have that radical by itself? I do, so I can go ahead and square both sides. Boom, boom. So I have the radical goes away. I have 2x minus 1. Notice how I put the negative being squared too. So this is going to be -3 times -3. -3 times -3 is positive 9. Cool, it's a positive. We like that. And then now I'm good to go. I can just add 1 on each side. So 2x equals 10. Go ahead and divide by 2. Divide by 2. And x equals 5. And if you want to check your answer, you can plug it back in. But I'm not going to on this one, just to save some time on our video. Okay, I think you guys should probably try this. I think you got it. So why don't you guys pause your video and do B and C on your own. When you unpause your video, you're going to see my answers. So go ahead and pause your video now. Guys, here's my answer on B. B, I got x equals 6. If you need to pause your video and check your work, why don't you do that? And then on C, I got x equals 2. Again, why not? If you need to pause your video and check your work, go for it. Otherwise, we're going to move on to 3, 4, and 5, and we're going to call it a day. Number 3. So we still have our same goal, get the radical by itself. So I have to get this radical x plus 6 by itself. Well, there's nothing over there, so yeah, we can go ahead and square both sides because we got to get rid of this guy. Okay, so squaring means the square root goes away, so I have x plus 6 equals x times x is x squared. Okay. So I have x plus 6, and then I have equals x squared. I actually need to move everything to one side because I'm going to create a trinomial and hopefully be able to factor. Because let me tell you, I know we are not fans of quadratic formula. So I am going to minus the x, and I'm also going to minus the 6 because I am not a fan of negative x squared. So no, thank you. So 0 equals x squared minus x minus 6. Again, we're not super fans of the quadratic formula, so why don't we go ahead and try to factor with our x factor. So let's do -6 on top, -1 on the bottom. Do I have two things that multiply to make -6 and add to make -1? Yes, I have -3 and +2. All right. -3 times 2 is -6. Good. -3 plus 2 is -1. Also good. So this is a shortcut, so I can go straight to parentheses. So 0 equals x minus 3 and x plus 2. So, let's see. My zeros are pretty easy. It's just going to be the opposite. So, x equals 3, x equals negative 2. Now, this is where we have to be careful, right? I said, hey, I'm going to let you know when it's time to be careful on those extraneous. It's time. So, we have to check both of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a little line right here. And the reason why we have to be really careful is you have two solutions. Sometimes they both work, sometimes they do not. So let's go ahead and check. Let's check x equals 3 first. So I'm going to plug in square root 3 plus 6 equals 3. So I plugged in 3 where all the x's were. Well, 3 plus 6 is 9. Is the square root of 9 3? Yes, it is. So I can go ahead and keep x equals 3 for sure. Let's check our negative 2 now. So if I check negative 2 now, x equals negative 2. If I do radical, negative 2 plus 6 equals negative 2. Well, negative 2 plus 6 is positive 4, so square root of 4 equals negative 2. Well, is the square root of 4 negative 2? If you put it in your calculator, it is not. So negative 2 does not work. That's what's called an extraneous solution, is when you get it, but really it does not work with your answer. So we're not going to include x equals negative 2. We are only going to include x equals 3 in our answer. That's how those extraneous ones work. Again, kind of weird, but we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Number 4. Number 4, same thing. Let's go ahead and get this guy by itself. So we're going to go ahead and do minus 3 on both sides. Okay. So square root x plus 5 equals x and then 2 minus 3. Those are like terms, so that's going to be minus 1. All right. This is a spicy problem, so get ready. Here we go. When we square both sides, because I got that radical by itself now, okay, we will cancel our radical here. So we'll have x plus 5. But then over here, we do not make that common mistake of distributing. The 2 means write it twice. So x minus 1 times x minus 1. Ooh, we haven't seen this in a while, but it's like we got to multiply. So we have our x plus 5. And in my class, when we multiply, we call it double rainbow. So it's only fitting that rainbow pen comes out. So x and x is x squared. X minus 1 is negative 1x. Again, negative 1 times x, another negative 1x. And negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Told you, it's a tough one, but we're ready. Okay, x plus 5, still good, equals, let's combine some like terms. So x squared, negative 1x, and negative 1x is negative 2x plus 1. Excellent. So let's move some things now because we need to make our own 0. We do not have one. So I am going to minus an x on each side, and I'm going to minus a 5 on each side. Awesome. Okay, so these guys go away. You get 0 equals x squared minus 3x, and 5 minus 1 is, 1 minus 5 is negative 4. Okay, I got a trinomial again, and I am crossing my fingers x works, because I know we don't want a quadratic formula. It's okay. So, I have negative 4 on top, negative 3 on the bottom. So, two things that multiply to make negative 4 and add to make negative 3. Let's try negative 4 and 1. There we go. It works. So, 0 equals, I can go straight to parentheses, x minus 4 and x plus 1. Okay. So x equals, opposite of negative 4 is positive 4 and negative 1. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you something, and you can kind of, I'm okay with it in my class. I don't know if like other teachers are cool with it, so you might want to check with your teacher. But if you go back to check for extraneous solutions, because I have 2 solutions, really the most important part is like this part right here, this x plus 2. Because, well, never mind. It's all important, but we should probably go back and check our answers to make sure that we're getting, a good, we're not getting extraneous solutions. Just for time's sake, I'm not going to do it. I trust that you guys will do it on your own. Actually, no, I'll just do it. It's fine. So go ahead and we got to plug in 4 first. So 4, if I go to check it, and I plug in 4 where all the x's are in my original, I have square root 4 plus 5 plus 3 equals 4 plus 2, right? Yes, that's the original. Okay. So 4 plus 5 is 9, so I have square root of 9 plus 3 equals 4 plus 2 is 6. All right, well, square root of 9 is 3, so is 3 plus 3 6? Yes, it is, so I'm definitely keeping 4. Negative 1, let's do that one now. So square root negative 1 plus 5 plus 3 equals negative 1 plus 2. Okay, negative 1 plus 5 is 4, so square root of 4 plus 3 equals negative 1 plus 2 is positive 1. Square root of 4 is 2, so I have 2 plus 3 equals 1. Is that true? That is not true, so we are not going to use our negative 1. We are only going to use our 4. So the negative 1 is our extraneous solution. All right, guys, I am going to do one more with you. Then you guys are going to do some on your own, and we're going to call it a day. Number 5. Number 5 is, got to see if the radical's by itself. So cube root x minus 2 equals 3. It is by itself. This time we're not going to square, though, to get rid of it. We are going to cube both sides to get rid of the radical. So goes away, goes away. I have x minus 2 equals 3 cubed. So 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. And this one's piece of cake now. We just have to add 2 on each side. So x equals 27 plus 2 is 29. And there we go. Not bad. I'm going to skip the checking on this one because it works. And we're just going to trust that it works, all right? All right. So you guys are pros now. I've decided. I think you can do it. You're going to pause your video and you're going to try D and E on your own. Okay, so try D and E, the last 2. Then when you unpause your video, you should check your work with my work. Okay, go ahead and pause your video now. I work on D, so you guys should have gotten x equals negative 4 for that. If you plugged it in, it's gonna work. I didn't show the plugging in, but hopefully you plugged it in and you checked it. And then here's E. So on E, this is as far as I thought you would go, and then you'd probably go like, yeah, no, thank you. So here we are, right? We moved everything to one side, so we have a trinomial. So we got to hopefully factor this guy. I think we've already done these numbers, though, so I think it factors very well. So negative 6 goes on top, and negative 1 goes on the bottom. So 2 things that multiply to make negative 6 and add to make negative 1. We can do negative 3 and positive 2. Okay, so shortcuts, let's go ahead and go straight to parentheses, x minus 3, x plus 2. Cool. All right, so x equals, opposite of negative 3 is positive 3, and opposite of positive 2 is negative 2. Now, we do got to check because there's 2 of them, and I thought maybe we would forget the check. So let's go ahead and plug them in for our check. So if we check on the side, we have, let's do x equals 3 first, because I'm pretty confident that one's going to work. So square root, x is 3, so 3 plus 6 plus 4 equals 3 plus 4. Okay, 3 plus 6 is 9, so square root of 9 plus 4 equals 7. Well, square root of 9, that's just 3. So 3 plus 4, does that equal 7? Yes, it does. So I'm definitely keeping x equals 3. Then let's check x equals negative 2. Okay, this one I'm not sure about. We'll see though. So plug it in, negative 2 plus 6 in the radical plus 4 equals negative 2 plus 4. Okay, so negative 2 plus 6 is 4, so I have square root 4 plus 4 equals negative 2 plus 4 is positive 2. Well, I know that the square root of 4 is 2. Plus 4 equals 2. That is definitely not happening, right? So we are not going to use x equals negative 2. We are only going to use x equals 3. All right, guys. So that's all I have for you. If you have any questions, you can ask your teacher tomorrow in class. Otherwise, have a great day, everybody. See you next time.